Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. That's Satan speaking in John Milton's Paradise Lost, and man, is it an unforgettable line. Let's dive right into this explainer. Why are we so incredibly captivated by the ultimate villains? And more importantly, what can their dark, unwavering commitment actually teach us about building a truly meaningful life? Well, that is exactly the fascinating paradox we're going to unravel today.
We're constructing a complete philosophical blueprint here, kind of like building a massive tree. We'll be pulling powerful insights from ancient Stoics, literary giants, and even modern performance experts. The whole goal? To help you finally crush procrastination and ground your life in deep, unshakable purpose. It's like taking some of the greatest minds in history and combining them into one single, cohesive action plan. So, here's our roadmap. 1. The silent inner life. 2. Courage as a compass. 3. The urgency of now. 4. Structure as liberation. 5. The villain's mirror. And finally, 6. Will grounded in virtue.
Section 1. The silent inner life. These are our roots.
Now we have to start where everything begins, right? Underground. Leah Tolstoy makes this really sharp distinction that I love. Human love, that's easy. It's comfortable. It flows right along with our natural preferences. But loving our enemies, that requires what he calls divine love. And that stems from a deeply cultivated inner silence. The spiritual teacher Anthony de Mello champions this exact same idea. He points out that finding truth comes from making the heart white with silent meditation, not making the air thick with loud, learned theorizing. Basically, we got to do the quiet work first. The brilliant aviator and author Anne Morrow Lindbergh hit the nail on the head as to why this matters so much. She discovered that living entirely on the surface, performing for others instead of genuinely inhabiting your own existence, is absolutely exhausting. If we skip that inner silence we were just talking about, well, our courage just becomes recklessness, and our sense of duty turns into a totally draining performance.
Section 2. Courage as a compass. This is the trunk of our tree.
All right, moving up the tree, let's talk about how we navigate the world once that inner foundation is rock solid. This concept completely flips our normal instincts. We usually think hesitation means, whoa, I should back away. But hesitation is actually vital information. Fear and hesitation orbit the very things we need to confront most, whether that's a super difficult, honest conversation or a really vulnerable creative project. Your hesitation isn't a stop sign, it's literally a compass pointing the way forward.
Legendary coach Vince Lombardi famously said that winning isn't everything, but the will to win is everything. It's that conscious decision to move toward the fear instead of running away from it. This perfectly echoes Ralph Waldo Emerson's timeless advice: don't be pushed by your problems, be led by your dreams. But here's the catch. You can only be led by your dreams if you actually have the will to act on them.
Section 3. The urgency of now. These are the branches.
Okay, now we accelerate. If courage is our compass, urgency is the high-octane engine driving us forward. Author Steven Pressfield gives our tendency to procrastinate a very modern name: the resistance. This is that pesky inner force that convinces us to simply start tomorrow. Think about it. The resistance doesn't tell you you're never going to write your symphony. It just whispers, hey, let's do it later. It is the ultimate villain of our inner story because it wears the super reasonable face of patience.
Let's see how the Stoics built on this. Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius delivers this quiet but honestly devastating indictment of tomorrow thinking. He says that by choosing to be a good person tomorrow, you are basically stealing today's potential. It's a form of theft. You're wasting today on a total illusion.
And Seneca follows that right up with this kind of holy impatience. He totally refuses to wait. And honestly, we see this urgency everywhere once we start looking. The kitchen at the famously elite restaurant Per Se hangs a literal sign reading "A sense of urgency." The Smashing Pumpkins sang about living in the resolute urgency of now. Across completely different centuries and cultures, the message is identical. The clock is ticking, and we absolutely must act immediately.
Section 4. Structure as liberation.
But wait, here's the trap. Urgency without structure? That's just panic. We need systems to make right action possible, especially on the days you don't feel like it. Think about this incredibly simple framework. When legendary basketball coach George Raveling was tasked with running a massive division at Nike, he used this deceptively simple sequence to create order out of total corporate chaos. 1. Write down the 3 most important things. 2. Do the first one. 3. Only then move to the second.
That's the whole shebang. It completely boxes out all the endless, exhausting negotiations of an undisciplined mind. It's a small act of daily sovereignty that the ancient Stoics would have absolutely loved.
Author Ryan Holiday scales this kind of structure beautifully right into our moral lives. He outlines 3 core duties: hard work, honesty, and helping others. What's so amazing about this is its universal application. I mean, these 3 simple duties can reliably guide a 7-year-old trying to navigate their first sleepover just as effectively as a CEO navigating a massive corporate crisis. The scale changes, sure, but the moral structure doesn't.
Section 5. The Villain's Mirror.
Now, as promised, we arrive at the most provocative twist in our philosophical blueprint. We're gazing directly into the villain's mirror to look at the dark side of productivity. Why do villains like Hannibal Lecter or Milton Satan from our opening quote so often completely outshine the heroes? It's because the villain possesses absolute, unapologetic urgency. They're totally immune to the resistance. We kind of secretly admire their radical commitment and fearlessness, their complete refusal to ever hesitate.
But here is the knife's edge we're walking today. Courage and urgency. When you strip away that moral rudder we just discussed, the honesty, the helping others, they don't produce greatness. They produce monsters. Satan is basically the patron saint of misapplied urgency. Will without virtue is not power. It is an absolute catastrophe. Section 6. Will grounded in virtue. This is the canopy of our tree.
This brings us to the very highest point of our blueprint, where we have to ground all this immense energy with some brutally honest self-examination. Ask yourself these piercing questions from Ryan Holiday. Are you sure money will fix your problems? Have you correctly defined financial freedom? Are you actually pursuing what matters? Author Anne Lamott famously joked that if you want to know what God thinks of money, just look at the people he gives it to. Even Marcus Aurelius noted that the most powerful, wealthy people of his time were often miserable tyrants. Your urgency literally means nothing if you're sprinting in the wrong direction.
When we synthesize all of this, ancient wisdom and modern strategy just perfectly align. We see that doing the right thing requires courage of a completely different order. It requires a deep inner life like Tolstoy talked about, simple structure from Raveling, relentless action from Pressfield and Aurelius, and massive moral grounding so we don't accidentally become the villains of our own story.
As we start wrapping up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a vital, gentle counterbalance from Deborah Day. She says, "No one is perfect. Gently accept your humanness." Self-compassion doesn't contradict our urgency, it actually complements it. It allows us to work incredibly hard, but still travel light. We can be completely relentless without being ruthless to ourselves.
So having built your inner foundation in silence, having harnessed your hesitation as a trusty compass, and having grounded your fierce urgency in true virtue, here is the final question I'm leaving you with today. The wolves of life's challenges will always come. There's no stopping that. But when they arrive at your door, will you shrink away, or will you come back leading the pack?